Hey guys, Remy here with your third stimulus check update and stimulus package update. Happy Friday, everyone, and I hope you have a great weekend and enjoy the big game this Sunday. So we have some major developments happening in Congress with the budget resolution, which will eventually get us the stimulus package with the third stimulus check. This is a very important update. I'll jump into all the details right now. Just please hit the like button on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Last night, the Senate was in a vote-a-rama session until 5:30 a.m. this morning when they passed the budget bill by a 51-50 vote. Vice President Kamala Harris was in the chair to cast the tie-breaking vote, which was her first time doing so. So we already see the effect of the Georgia Senate runoff elections. And the House already approved its own budget bill on Wednesday, and now they are expected to act on the Senate's bill as soon as today. So Democrats are really moving fast here with the budget reconciliation move, and Republicans are not happy with that and calling it expensive spending and partisan. So let's break down what exactly happened and what amendments they voted on in the 15-hour session last night. Alright, so over here it says, with the budget resolution nearly complete, Congress can turn in earnest to writing Biden's expensive pandemic relief proposal into law and push it through the Senate without Republican votes if necessary. Under the special rules unlocked by the budget legislation, the process will take weeks. The Democrats eyeing mid-March as the deadline for final passage of the relief legislation because that is when enhanced unemployment benefits will expire if Congress doesn't act first. And I've told you that, guys, many times before, that I really do think mid-March is the time when they get it. And now here it's even saying, I read somewhere else, that they're trying to move fast in order to get it done by March. And that is because this is not just a normal bill that they have to write and then pass it in the House and pass it in the Senate normally with the 60 votes in the Senate, which was not going to happen. This budget resolution will take time and it's a long process. And that's why getting it done in mid-March is an aggressive timeline. So let's continue on. Senate Budget Committee Chairman Bernie Sanders said, with the passage of this resolution, we have the opportunity not only to address the pandemic, to address the economic collapse, to address the reality that millions of kids have seen their education disrupted. We have the opportunity to give hope to the American people and restore faith in our government to fight for them. So here's the problem, guys. Despite Biden's campaign promises of unity and bipartisanship, now that Democrats control both chambers of Congress and White House, they appeared ready to leave Republicans behind. Republican senators accused Democrats of hypocrisy and argued that after already devoting $4 trillion in fighting the pandemic, including $900 billion in December, there was no need to spend another $2 trillion on what they termed a wish list of liberal priorities. So, whether you're on the right or on the left, I don't know how you feel. Of course, we all, right or left, we want a stimulus package, but maybe we want a reasonable package, and we want the stimulus checks, the 1,400 stimulus checks like they promised. But 1.9 trillion, we have to know exactly what are in those details and not get a 5,000, 6,000 page bill that has all these little things that are not really related to the pandemic. But, that's how Congress works, I guess. And Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that this is not the time for trillions more dollars to make perpetual lockdowns and economic decline a little more palatable. Notwithstanding the actual needs, notwithstanding all the talk about bipartisan unity, Democrats in Congress are plowing ahead. They're using this phony budget to set the table to ram through their $1.9 trillion rough draft. So obviously, Mitch McConnell is not happy at all, and I'm sure he's not happy being now the minority leader instead of the majority leader, and he was always against a big stimulus package, so he's voicing his opinion over here. Now, I want you to know this is a very good list of the important amendments that went through yesterday. So under the Senate rules, debate on the budget resolution in the Senate triggered a freewheeling amendment process known as a vote-a-rama that began Thursday afternoon and lasted for the next 15 hours. That's why they finished at 5:30 in the morning today, with some 45 amendments considered on a wide array of topics. So these are the important parts here. The House is expected to take up and pass the Senate's budget resolution within a day, so the House is going to vote on it today probably. President Biden is expected to speak about the stimulus relief package on Friday morning. I didn't hear anything about that yet. And the main budget resolution will provide for stimulus payments up to $1,400 per person, but senior Democrats have talked about narrowing who qualifies to low and moderate income families. So this is important, and I want to go over this really quickly over here. They're looking not to limit the price tag of the stimulus checks. Not the $1,400 will remain, but they're trying to send it to lower income people and get rid of the fact that families who have several kids can make $200,000-$300,000 and still get a check. So Joe Manchin proposed this amendments, and here what it says. So the chamber voted 99-1 on an amendment from Senator Joe Manchin and Susan Collins related to targeting the checks and making sure that upper income taxpayers are not eligible. The vote is non-binding, and the budget resolution to which senators attached the proposal doesn't get signed into law, but the margin signals overwhelming support in the Senate for tightening the phase-out structure of the next round of checks as Congress crafts the COVID-19 relief bill that Democrats want to pass by mid-March. Again, mid-March here is a very important date. But also something to know, from what I understand, that these amendments are not set in stone until the budget is complete, but it's just stuff that they vote on. And I mean, if something passed 99-1, we can assume that it will pass the way that they wanted it. And this is what they said. This is what Joe Manchin said. I don't think a single person on this floor would disagree to target the relief to our neighbors who are struggling to pay rent and put food on the table. This $1,400 will make a significant impact on their ability to get by. There are other families who have not missed a single paycheck as a result of this pandemic. It does not make sense to send a check to those individuals. And now Senator Collins added that the question before us is quite simple. Do we want stimulus checks to go to households with family incomes of $300,000, or do we want to target the assistance to struggling families who need the help and provide a boost for the economy? So this is what they said, guys. They said that they wanted to limit the checks for people who are making $200,000, $300,000 a year, and maybe they're still even working. So imagine people who still working, didn't miss a single paycheck, and making $300,000 a year. Listen, I'm not against you if you're making $300,000 or not, or whether you need a stimulus check or not, but I'm just saying the idea is if you're making $300,000 and you didn't miss a paycheck this whole time, this whole year, then more likely than not, maybe you don't really need the stimulus check like people who are making under $40,000, under $50,000, under $60,000, and lost their jobs. And this is what Bernie Sanders said. I do not oppose this amendment. I do not think anybody here wants to see people who make $300,000 get direct payments. Let's make certain that people who are making $75,000 per year or less do get their payments, and couples making $150,000 or less do get their payments. So the problem here, we don't know if that's the limits, and what is it going to be, a hard cutoff after $75,000 for individuals and a hard cutoff after $150,000 for married couples? We don't know, because the idea is if they keep the phase out the same as last time, that's the problem, where if a family making $300,000 and has 3, 4, 5 kids, because the numbers are high, the $1,400 per adult and per child, the starting point is a very large amount. So even when they phase it out, people who make this much money can still get a paycheck, maybe a smaller paycheck. So I don't know if they're gonna do a quicker phase out or a hard cutoff at $75,000 for individuals and $150,000 for married couples filing jointly. We'll have to wait and see the final thing here. So let's just go back quickly to what else passed in this Vote-A-Rama session. Senator Roy Blunt proposed an amendment to bar funding from schools that have not reopened once teachers have been vaccinated. It failed on a party line vote, so that didn't go through. Senator Todd Young offered an amendment to block stimulus payments to undocumented immigrants. It passed with 8 Democrats voting in favor. So this, this might be a little political and a little partisan, which I don't like to get into in this channel, but they're trying to limit the paychecks to go to undocumented workers, to undocumented immigrants. I'm not sure if this affects the spouse, because they had already passed that if you are married to someone who has an ITIN, but you do have a social security number, the person in that family who has a social security number will still qualify for the check, and their kids, if they have social security numbers, they will also qualify for the checks. So I'm not really sure what's happening here, but it says that undocumented immigrants will be blocked from getting the stimulus payments. So we talked about this one already, the 99-1 to approve an amendment led by Joe Manchin to ensure that upper income taxpayers do not receive stimulus payments. The measure did not define upper income, although Democratic lawmakers are weighing how to target the checks. So like I said, they're not sure how to do it, but they're working on that. The Senate also passed a measure pushed by Senator John Barrasso to compensate schools losing tax revenue due to Biden's moratorium on oil and gas development on federal lands. Okay, he disagreed. All right, and advanced Senator John Ernst advanced an amendment saying the federal minimum wage shouldn't be raised during a pandemic. In a twist, Sanders said he agreed with her because his plan incorporated in Biden's proposal raises the minimum wage to $15 an hour over 5 years, not immediately. This is very interesting. So seems like Bernie Sanders, agrees with that to not raise it to $15 right away, but do it over the period of 5 years. And also something about the minimum wage. We know that this budget resolution, it needs something needs to pass through that affects the federal budget. So sending the stimulus checks, $1,400, that affects because that's the government spending. The unemployment money, the $400 per week, that's them spending. So it does affect the budget. The $15 minimum wage doesn't affect the federal budget. It affects business owners who have to pay that money to their workers. So I don't think that will pass with the budget resolution, the $15 minimum wage. This probably will pass in another package or another legislation later on. And Bernie Sanders seems to be in favor of passing it over 5 years instead of making the jump immediately at once. So another thing here, an amendment by Senator Steve Daines to overturn Biden's move blocking completion of the Keystone XL pipeline. Two Democrats, Manchin and John Tester, voted in favor of it, but then changed their vote later to oppose it. This is another political thing. Democrats rejected GOP amendments related to packing the Supreme Court and blocking stimulus checks from going to inmates. Democrats also united to defeat an amendment that would have banned a federal tax on carbon. Manchin joined the Democrat votes despite his opposition in the past to similar taxes. So this is where we stand right now. It seems like Democrats are moving full force to pass this budget resolution using the budget reconciliation method. And it's moving along. The House passed on Wednesday. The Senate made changes yesterday, and the House will probably vote on it today and pass it. So this moves the process along. But again, this doesn't mean that it's going to happen right away. What passed is just part of the process in order to write it in that way, and it's going to take some time. They're even saying that passing it by mid-March is an aggressive timeline, which means that it's fast to pass it even by March. So hopefully that happens and we start getting our checks. And I know that they're saying that once this passes, the checks can start hitting your bank accounts within a week. So we'll have to wait and see. So all eyes are on mid-March for this complete package to pass. Thank you guys for watching. I really, really appreciate you all. Please let me know all your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Please share this video with your friends and family and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click that notifications bell to be notified that whenever I publish new videos and new content for you. And make sure to check all the links in the description for the Webull investing with the free stocks up to $1,600 when you deposit only $100, and the Yada savings account where if you open an account and deposit $25 or more, you'll get 100 tickets for a chance to win up to $10 million. Check all the links in the description below. Thank you guys again. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.